First of all, just wondering what your reaction is to Marcus Rashford saying that he's ready for a new challenge.
I think he's right. We have here a new challenge. It's a tough one. For me, it's the biggest challenge in football because we are in a difficult situation, and I already said that this is one of the biggest clubs in the world. So this is really a new challenge and the biggest one. And I hope all my players are ready for this new challenge.
So you didn't interpret that as he wanted a new challenge elsewhere. And have you spoken to Marcus about the interview?
No, not yet. Not yet. It was yesterday. I gave a day off to the lads. So he's our player and he's ready to the next game.
Ruben, you, having left someone with as bigger profile as Marcus, do you have to then talk to him about his future and your future, or do you just kind of go on the training pitch, expect him to be there, and whatever happens behind the scenes in terms of whether he's part of your squad or not just happens?
I spoke with a lot of players individually and during trainings. What I want is to take the best of Marcus Rashford as all the players. So I don't talk about the future, I just talk about the present. I want the best of each one of them, and that is the key point for me. I just want to win and to help the team to be better. So we are better with Marcus Rashford, and that's simple. And we try different things to push Marcus to the best level that he's shown in the past. So that's all.
So it sounds from what you're saying, both then and Simon's question, that you'd be quite happy for Marcus to stay here and be part of what you're trying to build, to buy into what you're trying to build.
Of course, because this kind of club needs big talent, and he's a big talent. So you just need to perform at the highest level, and that is my focus. I just want to help Marcus.
When there is a lot of concern over a player's future like Marcus, what impact might that have on the rest of the squad? How concerned are you about the other players? What message do you need to get across?
I think they are more simple than that. They focus on their job. Everyone, they are all the players. I was a player, and we are a little bit selfish. So they are focused on their job to win the place in this team. So I think there is not even an impact in the team.
And in terms of Marcus and Garnacho, are they both likely to be involved against Spurs tomorrow?
We have one more training, but it is the same situation of all the other players. If they train well, then I have to make a choice. We will see in the end of the training.
Would you expect a response from both of them on the park to sort of make a point of view?
Of course. I expect the best of each player every day. So we'll see after the training.
Ruben, I know you need to have that conversation with Marcus before you make your decision at the weekend's game, but if you do find out that a player wants to leave the club, would he be a part of the dressing room? Would you want to play like that around until January?
This is in the future. My focus is that to have all the players in the best that they can be to prepare each game. So we are talking about if there is no if in this kind of club. It's just Tottenham, and let's focus on the game.
Big story of the day, Manchester United head coach Ruben Amorim has left the door open for Marcus Rashford at the club, despite the forward saying that he is ready for a new challenge. So where will the England striker end up? We can hear now from the Premier League's record goal scorer, Alan Shearer.
He made his intentions clear. I think whether the club knew about that or not, they probably didn't. But then the manager comes out and has his say in the press conference, which you have to realise that he's got an asset to protect as well in terms of the football club, so they'll be looking to try and get the best fee possible. So he can't come out and say too much against him or what he's said. So I guess they'll come to an agreement and they'll work out what's best for both parties.
What do you think that the response would be from his teammates for him coming out and saying that maybe he needs a fresh start?
I would imagine he's got a lot of friends in the dressing room, so they may understand that. I know how dressing rooms work. He was obviously very frustrated that he wouldn't have been in the team at the weekend or in the squad. But you've got to understand it from a manager's point of view. He's come in to a team. He's been hired to try and find a format in a successful way. So he's got to look at different options, and he's chosen to leave him out. And they've won the game, which ultimately is the best answer for the manager. So he can sort of say to the players, and the players can understand where he wants to go with that football club. And I think the size of the club, then he can't afford to carry any passengers.
It's been spoken a lot from the club's perspective so far, but do you think for Marcus Rashford, the player, that a fresh start seems to be the right thing, given the way his form has dipped off in the last 18 months or so?
Well, I think there's no doubt about it. There's huge ability and talent in Marcus. We've seen that when he scored over 30 goals. We haven't seen that for a while now, which has been difficult, I guess, for him. I don't know his personal life. I don't know what's going on in the dressing room or what's going on at home, if anything. So it's really difficult to comment. And I think certainly with the way players are and attitudes are nowadays, then they'll come to some agreement and they'll do what's best for the football club, as what always happens.
Our reporter Rob James is now caught up with another former England striker in Gary Lineker.
It's slightly sad. I think Marcus has been obviously a brilliant player, and I think he's probably got his troubles. I mean, I interviewed him before the cup final a year or two ago, when he was on form and things were going well. But even then, you could sense there's a deepness to him, and so I hope he's okay first and foremost. I think that's important because we don't really all understand the circumstances of footballers sometimes, and it's easy to have opine on people and have opinions, but he's obviously, his form's been troubled. He's not been as special as he can be in the last 18 months or so. So whether a parting of the ways is inevitable or not, I don't know. I hope he rallies and performs well because he's a big player, and Manchester United's a huge football club. And Amorim has, he said he wants him to battle on and keep going. So hopefully that will happen. But there comes a time sometimes when perhaps a parting of the ways is necessary. I don't know whether it's reached that or not.
How much do you think it's connected to the churn at Manchester United and for the fact that so long tactically they've sort of looked a little bit aimless and you're not quite sure what they're trying to achieve?
Well, I think United have struggled for some time, and I think sometimes we judge the players when things are not going well on the pitch. It makes it more difficult for people to shine. So they've gone through a particularly tough spell, United, over the last couple of years, really, with the exception of winning the FA Cup. But I think overall, it'd be interesting to see if they can get a manager that gets them going, and then the players' confidence will bounce back. We've seen it at Chelsea this season. Last season, you looked at some of the players on the pitch that are now performing really well, and they're performing really poorly. It just shows you how important confidence is and a little bit of momentum. So that might happen with the new manager. We'll have to wait and see. But obviously, there's been a lot wrong at Manchester United. The recruitment's been really poor, particularly in recent times. The amount of money they spent under Ten Hag that they've brought in. The club's under not new ownership, but a different kind of ownership with Jim Ratcliffe moving in. But so far, I don't think it's done to say it's been fairly shambolic at times, but it takes time, and they'll need some time because they're a long way behind at the moment.
Then that news that Marcus Rashford could be off as soon as January. Does it surprise you that they have seemed to have come to this so quickly?
No, I mean, I think it's been on the cards for a little while now. You could see he's not the same player as what he was a few years ago. I think he had a couple of seasons where he was unstoppable. And you can wonder where Manchester United would have been without him. But I think now when you look at what's happened over a period of time now for Marcus Rashford, for whatever reason, I get the fact that players lose form, and there's been a lot of change and a lot of upheaval at Manchester United, and it can be difficult for players to deal with that because he seems to be at the forefront of everything that seems to be spoken about for Manchester United in terms of the player side of it. You think of even Harry Maguire as well. Everything that they've been through in recent times, because it's not been so good at Manchester United. There is always players that feel as if they get the brunt of it. I'm surprised he's still there, to be honest. I thought he would have been away a long time ago. But there's one thing, looking at it now, I don't think he'll have the same options as what he had, a few years ago. Because, as I said, he was flying a couple of seasons ago. Now it's, he's been left out of squads for whatever reason. So, I don't think he's going to have, the pick of the clubs that he might have had in the past.
Okay, so let's explore that. Do you think there's a club in England for him, or that's not the case anymore, and you think he might need to go abroad?
I think it might be the best thing for him, to be honest, just to go away. And, I think sometimes when you, and I'm not saying that Marcus Rashford needs to grow up. I'm not saying, but sometimes when you go away and you realise what you had at home, you appreciate it more. You're away from home, you're on your own. It gives you more thinking time of who you are as an individual. Maybe it's just at that time now where he does just need to take himself away from the Manchester area. And I'm not saying he's a bad boy. As I said, he's done a lot of things. But as a person, sometimes you just need a clear head to think, OK, I'm going to focus on my football again. That might be just where it's at with him. Because, as I said, there has been a lot thrown at Marcus Rashford now for a number of years, even in an England front as well, and he's lost his place there. So something's going to have to give, and if Marcus Rashford has to sacrifice somewhere, he's going to have to do that to get his career back on track and take himself out the spotlight. Well, he'll always be in the spotlight, whatever it is, but taking himself out the spotlight of being in England, it might not be the worst thing for him.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, and it is because there's no doubting his talent. So therefore, if I kind of look at it logically, he's got the talent. There must be something else going on. Is there? Footballers are human, aren't they? They have emotions. So is there enough support? It's difficult to talk back in individual cases, but in your experience, is there enough support around that emotional, pastoral, mental health for footballers in the game when they might well be going through a difficult time?
No. There's definitely not, Rob. Let's not be kidded. Everybody looks at football players and thinks they're robots. They can take all the criticism. They can deal with everything that's thrown at them. Oh, it's okay. They're earning X amount of thousands of pounds a week, millions a year, and they can deal with criticism. They can deal with abuse they get. It doesn't matter what you earn. It doesn't matter. It's the human side of it. And there is no doubt, as I said, and I include Harry Maguire in that, what those two boys have had to go through for a period of time now, it wouldn't be easy. It would not be easy to deal with. And I'm sure Manchester United will have done their very best, but they can't control everything. I've got to add to that, though, I really do like Ruben Amorim as well, because when you look at the past at Manchester United, maybe the two boys last week didn't toe the party line, didn't train properly, and they were left out. But it's not a case of it's them against the management staff, and that's maybe been the case in the past. I think now Almiron's come in, and I've got to be honest, I do like him. I think for the long term, I think he'll get this right in Manchester United, because he's went for too long. The players have maybe been controlling the Manchester United dressing room. I'm in charge. If you're not training properly, on you go, but you're not getting excluded altogether. You can come back in the following week. That's the start of a new game week. Train properly, you'll be back in the squad. Whereas before, I think it was maybe just a case of let them get away with it, or cut them adrift, and that's them done altogether. I think there's a mature way to Almiron here. I think he's not daft. He's just out the game in terms of playing, but he's obviously been a manager now for a period of time. He knows how to manage players. And he's making a statement. He is making a statement that the players have been potentially running Manchester United for a long, long time now, and it's back to the days now where the manager's in charge and I'll be making the decisions. If you don't train properly, you're not going to be playing. Yeah,
because actually that's what Peter Stevenson was saying. He's very clever in that news conference, or very caring, depends which way you want to look at it. In that he said that he had to do what he did, but Marcus Rashford, if he puts his head down and works hard, and I'll help him to help himself. Do you get the sense it's not a good dressing room? Because let's talk about the leaks in there. Ruben Amorim's furious about this. He says there's a couple of people leaking stuff from the dressing room. Is this something you've come across before? Is it common? And how do you stamp that out?
I think it's very difficult now, Rob. I think when you look at managers, they want to get their work done early, they want to prepare, because if they don't do that, then they fail. because gone are the days of just rocking up to a stadium and flipping a board over, or there's the team. They need to work on it religiously every single week, and if they don't do it, then the players will be asking what's going on. The pitfalls to that are that the players will know the team, they'll know who's playing, and I don't think any player will go out there and say, "Listen, there is a team," to fans and things like that. I think the problems you've got now is, agents are. You've got players that will be speaking to agents, they'll be speaking to friends, and everybody wants to be a hero now. Everybody wants to be, oh, look at me, I've got so many likes on social media, I've got so many retweets. This is a Manchester United team. Social media controls a lot. So I think when you're players, you really need to be careful who you're speaking to. And there's actually nothing wrong with turning around and saying, listen, I'm not telling you the team because it's going to harm us. And it will, because whether that is your friends, your family, your agent, whatever, there's no harm in it, because if it's getting out there and, the other manager might have it a day or two before or what they're going to play, then it will have an impact on what they do. So I think you really need to be careful. But in terms of a manager, I don't know how you control it, because, if you want to be true to yourself and work and do your work to the best of your ability, you need to be working on team shape all through the week. The players need to know their job. And if you're doing that, then they're going to be able to work out the team. I think it's more on the players to be careful who they're speaking to, shall we say.
Does it create division, suspicion, dislike within a dressing room if one or two people there aren't quite team players and are leaking stuff?
Well, I think then that them, I've been in dressing rooms where there's been a lot of more younger ones and older ones, but the older ones, usually when they speak, they will be listened to. And it might just be a case where, the manager has enough problems in his plate. He doesn't need to go looking for them. And that's the whole thing with, Garnacho and Rashford as well. When you listen to Almer, he knows, right, okay, you're not training properly, but there's no point in me causing division here and causing a real problem, because I'm going to have enough problems on my plate. There's no point in me going looking for more. So I think he will be looking at, your older experienced boys and, people like, Harry Maguire, Johnny Evans. They've been over the course and distance, and, nobody knows Manchester United more than Johnny Evans. He's been there, he's done it. But the problem is, it might have just went too far the other side, even for these, these experienced players to deal with it now, because, there is so many youngsters there. The way that social media is now, the way that everybody wants information, you could pull them and say to them, but I don't know, will they have the respect of a lot of youngsters now? It used to be we all looked up to, our elders, but I think society's changed now. There is no doubt that Manchester United have still got some great experienced players that will do their utmost to make sure that Manchester United are a success. But it's the same type of players that seem to be causing a lot of problems at Manchester United. And if the rumours are true, in terms of the team getting out, then it is youngsters that maybe just need to grow up.
Spanish press convinced Marcus Rashford has dropped major hint over next club as dream Man United move revealed. The Manchester United winger admitted that he wanted to leave the club. The Spanish press is convinced that they have figured out Marcus Rashford's next club after he confirmed he was ready to leave Manchester United. After nearly 2 decades at United, Rashford confirmed that he was ready to move on from the club and accept a new challenge elsewhere in a shock interview on Tuesday. The bombshell came just days after the Englishman was dropped for the Manchester derby by new manager Ruben Amorim, fueling speculation about a move in the January window. And now, members of the Spanish press have spoken out as they are convinced that Rashford may have dropped a huge hint about where he will play next. According to transfer expert Fabrizio Romano, United feel that 2025 is the year to part ways with Rashford, either in the upcoming January transfer window or in the summer, and for Rashford, it would be his dream to move to a club in Spain. In the wake of this news, Spanish media started digging into what club the winger could be thinking of joining, and they are convinced that he is set to join Barcelona. Spanish outlet Madrid Barcelona have reported that Barcelona manager Hansi Flick is desperate to sign another winger judged to be on the same level as star players Lamine Yamal and Rafinha, and Rashford is a standout option. The La Liga giants are admirers of the 27-year-old's speed, strength and team play, but also are impressed by his relationship with the media, something that is admired by club president Joan Laporta. Marcus Rashford has made over 400 appearances for Manchester United. Image Getty. In order to facilitate the move, Laporta is reportedly prepared to negotiate a swap deal with United involving Rashford and either Ronald Araujo or Frenkie de Jong, who has been linked with a move to Old Trafford for several years. However, it remains to be seen whether or not United would be open to accepting either Orojo or De Jong as part of a deal for Rashford, or if they would prefer a cash-only transfer. Furthermore, it is highly likely that Rashford would need to accept a reduction to his wages in order to facilitate a move to the Nou Camp, with his current pay of £350,000 a week potentially too steep for Barcelona. Marcus Rashford may have dropped a hint about his next club after making a huge admission on his Manchester United future. Rashford made headlines on Sunday afternoon after he was left out of Ruben Amorim's squad for the derby against Manchester City. Argentine forward Alejandro Garnacho was also not selected as United came away 2-1 winners thanks to late goals from Bruno Fernandes and Amad Diallo. The 27-year-old said during an interview with Henry Winter, "For me, personally, I think I'm ready for a new challenge and the next steps. When I leave it's going to be no hard feelings. You're not going to have any negative comments from me about Manchester United. That's me as a person. If I know that a situation is already bad, I'm not going to make it worse. I've seen how other players have left in the past and I don't want to be that person. When I leave, he has been linked with a host of different clubs throughout the years, including the likes of Arsenal, Paris Saint-Germain and Al Ittihad." Rashford went on to say, "I'm halfway through my career. I don't expect my peak to be now. I've had 9 years so far in the Premier League and that's taught me a lot, that's helped me grow as a player and as a person. So I don't have any regrets from the last 9 years. I won't have any regrets going forward because I take things day by day and sometimes bad things happen, sometimes good things happen. I just try and keep a fine balance." From that quote, one could assume that Rashford could be hinting at a move away from the Premier League, having already spent 9 years in the English top flight and stating that he fancies a new challenge. However, it remains to be seen whether United will decide to cash in on Rashford next month or wait until the end of the 2425 season. United boss Amorim is bound to be asked about Rashford when he faces the media on Wednesday morning ahead of the Red Devils' Carabao Cup clash against Tottenham Hotspur. Following Manchester United's shock win over local rivals Manchester City, manager Ruben Amorim has revealed the truth behind his decision to drop star winger Marcus Rashford. Despite taking the lead through Josko Gvardiol, City fell apart at the end of their Premier League meeting with United, allowing 2 quick-fire goals at the end of the match from Bruno Fernandes and Amad Diallo, securing a 2-1 win for United. But the biggest drama came before kick-off as United wingers Rashford and Alejandro Garnacho were both left out of the squad by manager Amorim.